And Joe Biden is taking a shellacking in the polls, and it's got the Democrats melting down like never before. First up, it's the raging Cajun himself. James Carville has a simple four-letter message for young voters who've soured on Joe Biden.
I hear this a lot. Young voters are just not into this, and you just can't blame them for, oh, you. All right? Are you watching what is happening in the Supreme Court? But that's all right, you little 26-year-old. You don't feel like the election's important to me. They're not addressing the issues that I care about.
Nancy Pelosi is freaking out on an MSNBC host who dared to question President Biden's record on jobs.
Joe Biden is doing that, created 9 million jobs in his term in office. Donald Trump has the worst record of job loss of any president. So we just have to make sure people know.
That was a global pandemic.
He had the worst record of any president. We've had other concerns in our country. If you want to be an apologist for Donald Trump, that may be your role, but it ain't mine. And he has the worst.
I don't think that anybody can accuse me of that.
Wow. And poor Nicole Wallace is having the mother of all meltdowns.
Depending on what happens in November, 7 months from now, we can't say for certain that there would even be a White House Correspondents' Dinner, or even a free press, or even a White House press corps. This time next year, I might not be sitting here. There might not be a White House Correspondents' Dinner or a free press.
Okay, Dana, I have to start with you on that one. Nicole Wallace saying, this time next year, I might not be sitting here if Donald Trump gets elected. Now, let me ask you a question. Donald Trump was president for 4 years, and she was sitting there.
Yeah,
now she's worried about...
I think the press is going to do just fine if Donald Trump is elected. In fact, they did beforehand. I don't know why the press isn't complaining more that he's the one who doesn't give any interviews or do any press conference. I mean, I was a deputy press secretary. I loved that job. By no means did I ever think that my words in a written statement would substitute for something the commander-in-chief ought to say, for example, on the student protests. We have great statements coming from the deputy press secretary. That is not a substitute. And Joe Biden not being on camera, it's a problem. You mentioned Al Jazeera. Everybody around the country is watching the media on this. And so I also thought Nancy Pelosi was really rude to Katie Tour. She didn't deserve that, because you can't give Biden credit for all the jobs created and then say, and also Trump lost all the jobs, and not point out that COVID was the reason the jobs came back, because COVID ended. Katie Tur did not deserve that. And on James Carville, I think that we're witnessing the 6 stages of grief, or however many stages of grief there are, because he started with passion, right? And he was like, we have to say that Trump is a threat to democracy. And then he went to, well, Biden isn't doing very good, is he? And now he's raging. What we might get next week is acceptance.
You know what? The truth is, Greg, that the raging Cajun, I mean, he's turned into basically a curmudgeon. And I wonder if anyone is even listening to him anymore. I mean, he only comes out every 3 or 4 years, and boy, is he angry.
He's evolving into the character in Deliverance that attacked John Voight in the woods. I don't know if you remember that scene, but it's not good. And he sounds like, while he's talking, somebody's cleaning his teeth. He's in the middle of having his root canal. And someone should tell Nicole that she's not that important. She's not that well known. That is a delusion of grandeur. And I might not be in this seat in a year. It's like, well, another reason to vote for Trump, I guess, but I don't know who you are. You just had the biggest audience you've ever had by playing that clip here. I think the meltdowns are expected because every front looks pretty dire. There's no policy that they can speak of that wows anybody. And there's no shining example of optimism or progress in the Democratic Party. It's because they paid a price for always looking backwards. Our country went to hell because they were busy painting our past as a hell. And they enabled the woke to infiltrate, and they chased all their best people out, all their intellectuals, all their writers, and they were replaced by destroyers, not creators. There's no one on the left that's creating anything, just destroying comedy, women's sports, law and order, housing, energy policy. I'm trying to think of one thing that Dems have created aside from emotionally damaged and perhaps mutilated children.
Well, the problem is that when you escalate rhetoric like this, Where do you go from here? You've already had people saying that there'll be camps. They're going to make journalists and gay people disappear.
Right.
Now democracy is going to end, and Wallace will be somewhere in an unknown spot. You know, what's left? Like Roman decimation? I mean, what can you go from here?
Don't give him any ideas, Turley.
But with Carville, you know, I think you have to give him credit because nothing convinced the young as much as a raving 79-year-old. Particularly with that sort of sling blade angle of the camera, just made it, I think, so convincing.
And you know, the amazing thing, I saw a headline today. It said that the White House officially claims that Biden made 148 mistakes in the last 4 months, and that's a public record. I mean, that's more than one a day, and he doesn't even speak once a day. But I mean, you know, the guy makes all these mistakes, and yet they promote him as like he's the best thing since apple pie.
Well, he told the press that they have to root for him or else democracy dies at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yep.
So the very next day, Nicole Wallace comes out and says, I'm going to lose my job. Now, Nicole had never said anything about the American people losing their lives, losing their livelihoods. She just cares about her own gig. Yes. And Trump made her a star. He made stars out of all of these people. And so that's what's really going to happen. It's not all about her. Now, Katie, she got out of line. They have a very disciplined message machine.
Yep.
Nancy's supposed to come on set. She's supposed to spew talking points. And then she's supposed to take her mic off and go raise cash. If you get in the way of that, then you're part of the problem. So she uses the social shaming. Are you defending Hitler? That's what this is. You're not going to get invited. Your career's not going to take off. They're very kind of high school girlish when it comes to their methodology. I was thinking, do you know, that's a breaking news alert. If you're 18 to 30, so you've now at most experienced the last Obama term and a Trump term, and then 3 years of Biden. Now, the Democrats always like to talk about my lived experience. Well, let's look at their lived experience. That two-term Trump-Obama, low prices, low crime, no immigration, not really many wars. The Biden years was like that war. You can't buy a house, crime wave, prices are high. It is that lived experience, you know. He's mocking James Carville, their lived experience. We were told not to do that.
Coming up, Turks in chaos. Multiple Americans arrested while on vacation on the islands after accidentally leaving ammo in their luggage.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.